All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about something more than just saving for retirement. We're talking about building a financial fortress, a plan that's tough enough to handle inflation, market crashes, and, well, pretty much whatever life decides to throw at it. Let's get into it.
So you've done all the right things. You've been saving, you've been investing. But here's the thing about the real world. It doesn't always follow the script. So the real question is, can your plan handle a plot twist?
You can think of these risks as the hidden bosses in the game of retirement. They're the things lurking just around the corner that can mess with even the most carefully laid out strategy. So what are they? Let's shine a little light on them. And hey, as we explore these strategies, remember, the whole point is to make them work for you and your specific situation. You can actually find some great tools to personalize this advice over at our companion site, retirementaihelper.com.
Okay, let's kick things off with our first threat. This one doesn't make a lot of noise, it doesn't crash or boom, it just quietly eats away at your future. I'm talking about the slow, steady burn of inflation.
Wow, okay, this slide really makes you feel the impact of inflation. You hear 3% inflation, and it sounds kind of small, right? But look at what it does over 20 years. That lifestyle that costs you $50,000 a year today, you're going to need almost $90,000 to pay for the exact same things in 2 decades. That is the silent power of inflation, and it's something we absolutely have to plan for. So how in the world do you fight back against this invisible enemy? Well, you need a smart arsenal. You need assets that have a good shot at growing faster than inflation. We're talking about things like TIPS, those are Treasury inflation-protected securities, or historically, stocks and real estate. But just as important is having some flexibility built into your spending so you can pull back a bit when prices start to spike. Okay, now for our next threat, and this one is anything but silent. These are the sudden storms, the market crashes. And they can be terrifying, especially if one hits right when you're starting retirement. This is when something called sequence of returns risk becomes a really big deal.
I mean, just think back to early 2020. In what felt like the blink of an eye, the market dropped by over a third. Now, it did recover pretty fast, but it's a huge reminder of how quickly things can go south. If you had to sell investments during that drop to pay your bills, it could have done some serious long-term damage to your portfolio.
So, how do we build a shelter before the storm actually hits? Well, it really boils down to 3 key things. First, have a cash buffer. That means keeping 1 to 3 years of your living expenses somewhere safe and easy to get to. It's your lifeline, so you don't have to sell when the market's down. Second, flexible spending. And third, smart diversification. You know the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. All right, now for the really unpredictable stuff. These are the risks that come from totally outside the market. I'm talking about changes in government policy, global events, and other, well, wildcard scenarios. Look, we can't predict when tax laws are going to change or what the next global crisis will be. But what we can do, and what this chart shows, is understand the types of surprises we might face. Whether it's a change to Social Security, a sudden health issue, or a global event, a resilient plan is built to absorb the shock no matter where it came from. And that's really the heart of the matter, isn't it? Forget trying to use a crystal ball. A truly strong retirement plan isn't about guessing what's going to happen next. It's about building a financial life that's ready for anything to happen next. Okay, so we've named the threats. Now, let's put it all together. It's time to build our ultimate defense plan, to construct that financial fortress we were talking about at the beginning. If there is one word, just one word I want you to take away from all of this, it's this one: flexibility. A plan that's too rigid can shatter when it's put under pressure, but a flexible one, it can bend, it can adapt, and it can survive. And listen, I'm not just talking about your stocks and bonds here. We need to diversify everything. Your income streams, maybe that's Social Security, your portfolio, maybe some part-time work, even your support networks. The more pillars you have holding up your retirement, the stronger it's going to be. This is about creating a budget that has your wants and your needs clearly separated. When things get tight, you can cut back on the discretionary wants, the extra travel or expensive hobbies, without ever having to touch the money for your essential needs. That adaptability is your financial shock absorber. And finally, resilience. This is both a financial and a mental game. Financially, it means having that emergency fund ready to go and having backup plans. Mentally, it means having the mindset to adapt and stay calm when challenges pop up, because you know you've prepared for this moment. So, to wrap this all up in a bow,
First, you have to acknowledge the risks. Understand that things like inflation and market shifts are real. Second, you have to actively build your defenses with things like diversification and cash buffers. And third, make flexibility the absolute cornerstone of your entire plan. At the end of the day, just remember this. The goal isn't simply to hit a certain age and clock out for good. The real goal is to reach a state of readiness where you feel confident you have the resources to live the life you've always wanted completely on your own terms.
You've worked so hard for your future. Now is the time to protect it. To get started building your own resilient plan with some personalized tools and guidance, go ahead and visit retirementaihelper.com. And that's the final question I want to leave you with. Your plan might look amazing on paper, but is it ready for a real-world stress test? Building that fortress is the first, most important step. Now is the time to make sure it's truly built to last. Thanks so much for watching.